Welcome to the Soul Wisdom Project, the living blueprint of the soul. With me, Shakti Bottazzi, your host. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by your daily life as if something inside you is trying to get your attention? As an international teacher, shaman, and energy healer, I will bring the tools of a lifetime to guide you to explore how to live consciously, awaken your innate wisdom, integrating the design, development, and emergence of your divine blueprint. Each episode blends grounded conversation with multidimensional insight, guiding you to release old patterns, align with your higher intelligence, and live awake, aware, and fully present. The Soul Wisdom Project with me, Shakti Bottazzi, starts now. Well, hello. It's wonderful to be with you live on this spring morning. Can you feel the spring energy, the impulse to create? Something in the air right now is saying, move, create, make it real. And I know that you can feel it because the energies have shifted a lot, thankfully. And the desire to bring something forward, it's probably simmering within you. So today's episode is going to be about creating that thing that you are wanting to bring forth. We're going to talk about a really hot topic, manifestation, but from an angle that I know not many speak about. And I'm hoping you're going to be really gaining some insights on how what you have visioned and intended can come into tangible form. Excited? Last episode, we looked at why the soul has been holding back. We've looked at, in the last two episodes actually, at the fracture, the fragmentation within us, the things that were holding us back in life. And today, what becomes possible when we bring it all home is the tangibility of your desire. It's the uniting of body, soul, and the creation in this Maya, in this illusion that's 3D life on Earth. My name is Shakti Bottazzi, spiritual teacher, galactic shaman, author of Remembering Her, a Soul Embodiment Journey. I have spent decades supporting women on the spiritual path to come home to themselves and live from their soul's true blueprint. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you are one of my followers, thank you for being here. And for all of you, I'm so glad you found your way to today's episode. Today, I'm going to give you some specificity, 3 awarenesses that will change the way you approach manifestation forever. Number 1, I'm going to explain how embodiment is so much more than you know, so much more than what's out there and what people are saying is embodiment. So hang in there. So I open a window of understanding there. Number 2 is how manifestation is not just about visioning. Big trick that really is not giving us all the information. And number 3, how to embody really what you are intending and how that embodiment radically shifts your ability to manifest and tangibly transform your reality. Yes, like the masters of ancient times that were able to actually punch their hands on a wall of a cave and have the cave stone walls mold to their hands because they knew how to use the energies and how to play with the illusion of the manifestation. I'm not there, unfortunately. I'm not able yet to put my hand on a wall and have the wall mold to me, but I have gotten a lot better at envisioning, holding that creation, that intention, embody it, and really bring it forth into manifestation. And I've become really a good student at tuning in with myself when that manifestation wasn't coming forth and understanding what is it that wasn't working, tweaking it to really bring forth the manifestation. And I'm hoping that that's what you will get out of this call, a real in-depth new understanding of this powerful um, tool, let's call it, that we all have access to, which is the art of co-creation. More than a tool, it's how we're made. This is how this universe works. So my intention is to give you a deeper understanding of how to move through this universe and be able to bring manifestation into form. I know this is a topic that touches all deeply because who doesn't have a dream that wants to come forth, right? Me, I have more than one dream that I want to bring forth. This is just the nature of us humans. And the beauty of that is to know and understand that if you have a dream, if you have a desire, that's because you are meant to experience that desire come true, that dream come true. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have the inkling. We don't have all the same inklings. I don't have any desire of bungee jumping off a cliff. But if you do, good for you. Go forth for it. So that's what's key to understand. But before we dive in, I have a free guide I would love for you to get. It's called Living Your Soul's Blueprint. And you can find it in the description to this video, wherever it is you're listening or watching. And you can also find it on my website, theawakenpath.com. Soul Wisdom Project. You can find a big button there. And as you click that button, you can find the Discover the Blueprint of Your Soul. Click on it, fill the information, and download it for free. Okay, let's dive right in. One of the key principles to understand is that embodiment is much more than you know. Most people hear the word embodiment and think meditation, yoga, ritual, being present in the body. And I'm asking you before I go on, tune into what does the word embodiment bring into your front of mind. When people speak about embodiment, what is it that you already know, or you think you know, or you've heard, or you've read? I tell you something that for many years when people spoke to me about embodiment, I didn't even know what that meant. I mean, seriously, I had no idea. It sounded like a great word, but it was so far away from my own reality and my own ability to, in fact, be embodied that I couldn't grasp it. I couldn't understand it. And this is part of why also being embodied is so difficult. As a reminder from what we spoke in the last two episodes, and if you haven't watched them, I do recommend that after this episode, you take time to watch the last two episodes, episode 7 and episode 8, because we do explain embodiment and why it happens and why it doesn't happen, amongst other many things that we talk about. But there are two kinds of embodiment, and most all of us speak about the embodiment of what does it mean for us to feel in connection to our body, to be in tune with our body, to um, have our soul fully be inside our body. And this is the type of embodiment that I explain at length since we started this show, the Soul Wisdom Project. I've touched on this many, many times. Why? Because I help people really heal whatever has happened in their lives in childhood and through teenagehood, teenage years, that has created that disconnect between the soul's ability to feel safe in the body and therefore the soul not being, you guessed it, embodied. And because of that, as we heal those aspects that have created that fracture, and that is known as trauma. And again, many people say trauma. I don't have trauma because we just don't know what that word means. But that is called trauma. As we heal of that trauma, we're able to reframe it, as we're able to look at it from a different standpoint, from a different frame. We are reframing it. we can let it go. We can move beyond that hurt, that pain, and we can feel once again safe in our body. And as we do, our soul comes back into our body. And as our soul comes back into our body, we feel connected to our body. We begin to be able to hear the cues of our body. Cues such as I'm tired, because many of us would push ourselves way beyond the point of tiredness until utter exhaustion, because we just don't know to hear, hey, I'm tired. I need to stop for a moment. I need to take an exhale. I need to take a break. And just we push and we push and we push. And then what happens is that in some way or another, there is a disharmony in our bodies. And then dis-ease, lack of ease, happens in some shape or form. And always that dis-ease is related to the emotional aspect that had us being driven without being able to listen to the body. And that's just one aspect. The other thing that we begin to be able to listen the cues about hunger, about being full, and allowing us to stop eating when we're full and not overeat, to not have binges and cravings that we cannot control. That too becomes a lot easier once we have healed and we have a deeper connection with our body. And I'm not saying that it's automatic. We have to work to reframe that connection with the body and to begin listening and realizing that, oh, I can hear now what the body was telling me that I couldn't hear before. And then you have a choice. What am I going to do with this new information? Are you going to override it once again, which is your MO? You're used to doing that. Or are you going to choose to take different action, which is how we create change? Other cues about literally when you are exhausted and you want to go to bed and want to sleep. So many of us push ourselves beyond that moment. And then because we're anxious or we're tired, then we sleep late. We wake up in the middle of the night filled with complicated thoughts in our mind, and then we don't sleep anymore. And then we're exhausted and we keep going into that run down mill. And all of these are cues that as we are in the body, embodied, we begin to be able to listen to, we begin to have an easier time connecting with that. So this level of embodiment is the level of embodiment that I've been talking about in many of the episodes. And it's also the most common. When people speak about embodiment, they think this type of embodiment. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about the somatic. It's called somatic, everything that's related to the soma. Soma is the Latin word for body. It's somatic, the somatic experience. Then that's the embodied aspect. Here's a very important cue. And that is that there is such a thing as a soul level embodiment. Now, this is a very different way of embodiment, and it's literally another layer, another aspect of embodiment. It's the actual integration, and I want to say full digestion of life experience and understanding your own experiences and understanding the new concepts that your mind begins to be aware of. So, one of the things that happen a lot for many of us spiritual seekers is that we go into a retreat and we get so much information. We get it in a somatic way. We get it by being in a group with people. We get it by the location where the retreat is. For me, I do retreats in sacred locations all the time. And so the sacred location has a big impact energetically into the somatic experience, but also into the soul level understanding. And then we leave the retreat and many of us immediately seek the next soul adrenaline retreat or soul adrenaline course. Sorry. And we don't allow ourselves the time to integrate and fully digest that experience, which is the soul level embodiment of what we're moving through in life. So when something truly lands in you, not just intellectually, but cellularly, you do not just know it, you become it. It's part of your homecoming, it's part of your becoming, it's part of who you be. It's not about doing, it's about being. And suddenly, things that you have intellectually been seeking and understanding at an intellectual level, suddenly they land, it drops in, and you go like, oh, that's what that means. And this is how that played out in my life and this occasion. And you finally connect the dots, and it's truly an eureka moment. Eureka, it's truly an aha moment. And that is when the soul has embodied, integrated that awareness, that consciousness. So we are talking really about a soul level embodiment and a physical embodiment. And yes, they dance with each other and both are necessary, but they're very different. Your soul fully living in your body, the ability to be present to the now, the ability to feel grounded, occupying the full vessel, the temple that is your body, and not floating above it and not managing it from a distance and not actually disconnected from the cues of the body, but truly somatically experiencing what the body can give you. That is the physical embodiment. The soul level embodiment is when teachings, understandings, new awarenesses, and new consciousnesses drop in, and suddenly you know it. And suddenly the dots connect. And in one instant, because it's one spark of an instant, you know what you know with capital K, you know what you know. And nobody can tell you that you don't know what you know because you simply know it. That's the soul level embodiment. So where is the gap? And here's where I'm inviting you to tune into what I'm saying and think it through and go like, yeah, that's probably happening to me with this aspect or that aspect. Because I'm not saying that in all aspects of life this happens for you. Maybe you have aspects that you have really embodied and integrated the consciousness and the awarenesses. I'm sure you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be hearing or listening to this show. And I'm sure that there's aspects of embodiment you've gone through, maybe all of it, maybe a part, but there's a gap when you can understand something in its full form and still not be able to feel it in your body. So you may have the soul level embodiment, but not the physical embodiment. I know that for me, that for sure was my journey. I kept having the awarenesses at the soul level, but the hardest journey for me was to feel safe in my body, to connect with the cues of my body, and therefore make that soul embodiment real and true and accessible at the level of my cells, at the level of my DNA. And I know that this is true for a lot of spiritual seekers. And I'm so curious to know if this sounds familiar to you, if this is something you recognize in your own journey. Because then what happens is that this gap, this distance between the soul embodiment and the actual somatic embodiment is what will stall your transformation journey. And for sure, it'll stall your manifestation journey, which I haven't even started talking about manifestation because first I had to give you these frame of references so we can move on in the conversation. Because both are required in order to live life on earth. We have this vessel because our soul needs the vessel to experience fully life on earth, to experience all the joys that come from the embodiment at the physical level, the hugs, the good food, the taste of good food, the beautiful perfumes, aromas of nature, of perfumes, of food, the visual, the sunsets, the sun ups, the rainbows, the everything, the bird flying, right? All of it. And of course, the auditory, the music, the voice, the beauty. All of these sensorial windows are our somatic, our physical doors of connection to the world. So both are required. And other people have a very good relationship with their bodies. They're really good at it. They are working out, they are embodied, they know what they're eating, and they're completely disconnected from the soul awareness. They're totally living in a very 3D awareness, no understanding that there is a multidimensional reality that we all have access to, a reality where there is true connection with inner guidance and with the ability to bring forth manifestation that is way beyond what is here and you can push over there like a glass, like my mate cup or whatever. So it's fascinating that both can happen without the other. So, mini recap so that you can follow me because I'm about to complicate this further as I'm going to bring another concept into this conversation. Hmm. This is the key I want you to hold on to. Embodiment is not one thing only. Yes, it's a complicated term, but it means at least, because I'm not saying that there are no other meanings, but it means at least two things. And most people are only living half of the picture. Some of us take the spiritual embodiment and we're good with it, like I did for many, many years of my life, disconnected from my body. And many of us are amazing at the level of the body and at the level of managing the three-dimensional aspects of life on earth and completely disconnected with the expansive ability of our sixth sensorial awareness and of the fact that death is just another threshold to which we're born into a new state of being, such as birth on earth is a threshold from the soul to be coming into this vessel that is the body. Woo! Yeah? You're with me? Yeah. Mm. Feel that. Actually invite you to close your eyes for a moment, take a few deep breaths. I've just given you some big, big transmissions and awarenesses, both for the mind and for the body. Mm. As you have your eyes closed, I want to tell you why I'm offering you the Divine Blueprint handout. And that's because before we come to Earth to be birthed, we plan for this lifetime. We plan for the key soul lessons that we want to bring into this lifetime. And we encode that in many ways. And one of those ways is this divine template, this divine blueprint that carries the information for the most beautiful soul embodiment and physical embodiment, for the most wonderful temple body to work healthily in harmony. And this handout that I have created gives you a good insight onto how that works for you. And yes, I actually use that divine blueprint in healing. I teach healing techniques and I also use them. If you're needing a healing, reach out to me with the contact form on my website because there is such a thing of using that crystalline divine blueprint to allow you to gain harmony if you are feeling in disharmony, if you are struggling, if you are really separated from that best expression of who you be. And the invitation is for you to download this blueprint guide from my website or from this episode, wherever it is that you are seeing or watching or listening. And on my website as well, theawakenpath.com. And you can go there under the Soul Wisdom Project, big blue button, and then there's another blue button that says Discover the Blueprint of Your Soul. You can download it there. And if you want to connect with me, if you're willing to go deeper into your journey, I'm available for you. There's a contact form in my website as well. Contact me, send me a note, and we'll take it from there. So while you can stay in this space of expansion, and before I come and bring you more information to pile on top of the one we just have, we're going to take a pause. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you about manifestation. And we're going to walk through why manifestation is not just about visioning. So we'll be back.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? A sign, a presence, a knowing that left you changed but unsure who would understand? I'm Gina Gale Gray, and Weird Real Life Stories is more than a show. It's a sacred space to explore the mystical, the mysterious, and the deeply personal. Each episode features true tales that awaken intuition, validate soul signs, and open hearts. And now I want to hear your story. Visit anywheremindbodysoul.com to send me a request to share your experience on this show, or discover how we can work together to explore the meaning behind it. Tune in every first and third Wednesday at noon Pacific. Let's explore this mystery together. And if you're ready to go even deeper, my channeled book with my son Spencer, Listen to the Silence, Messages and Miracles from Spencer Who Never Spoke Words, is waiting for you at listentothesilence.org.
And we are back. I hope this break helped you in integrating what we discussed earlier in this episode, and that is namely the two levels of embodiment, the soul embodiment and the somatic or physical embodiment. And the reason why I had to explain that before this part of the show is because they are a key component of what I'm going to talk to you about, which is manifestation. Some of you may remember the movie The Secret. It came out, I believe, yes, in the year 2007 or around that time. And when it came out, it opened up something real for millions of people. And The Secret really spoke. And then there's the book out there, and I'm sure you've heard of The Secret. It was a big wave of change of this new way of living life and being able to manifest. And if you haven't, you can do a research online and figure it out. It's all over. But I'm telling you, it spoke about the power of intention, desire, and focus. And it gave us this information of how really it's written in the old scriptures, it's written in temples, it's written everywhere in ancient lore and ancient sites that in order to create the reality we desire, we are actually needing to have a very clear intention to focus that desire and that intention and hold that focus until whatever it is we desire can manifest. And that was not wrong. But the trick is that it was incomplete because that alone won't help you in manifesting. And like I said, at the beginning of the show, if you have a desire, if you have a vision, if you have an inkling, if you are really yearning for something, trust me, you are meant to have that thing. or experience or whatever it is, because that is how the universal rules work. These are the laws of manifestation. It starts by your soul connecting with a cosmic breadcrumb, which you have planned for yourself. And that is that desire. The desire activates a lot of what we will be doing next. Buddha, Buddha of all things, Master Buddha, he used to say, I love this, he used to say, your desires are the way to enlightenment. And I used to not understand that phrase until I did. And what he meant was that that desire that you have will light a fire within you to have you seek that what you want. And in seeking that you want, you're going to take all the steps needed to clear the noise within you, to clear the lack of centeredness, the lack of groundedness, the lack of clarity, really. That is the ultimate, so that you can bring clarity and intentionality and the missing ingredient, which I'm going to tell you in a moment, so that you can co-create with the universe. Vision. The vision activates the mind. So that desire, that yearning, that wanting, that activates the mind, and it's wonderful. And the mind can have all the visions. And that's what that movie, The Secret, spoke about, the book, The Secret, speaks about. And that is fundamental. But just holding the vision, just by visioning and writing it down and keep writing, I want this, I desire this, that alone won't bring you the manifestation. And before I go on, you may say, very nice, Shakti. And yet I did manifest a lot of things. Yes, you did, I'm sure, as did I before I understood how the mechanism works. Because at one point, at some point in our lives, eventually, we naturally shift into this extra element of manifestation, and boom, 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 the manifestation happens. And that is that the body is really the instrument of creation. I'm going to tell you a story before I explain to you how to use this instrument. When I was 25 years old, I was living in Argentina, and I was married to my first husband at the time, and I had come to a moment of deflation. I had graduated, I had gotten married, I had lost my dad when I was 21, a sister when I was 19, lived through some rough patches. I had started my spiritual journey when I was 19, discovered that I was a healer, didn't know what to do with all of that. And I was in a moment of, well, what's next? What comes next? I'm 25, and what do I want to do? Where do I want to go from here? And I had had this dream of going to the United States since I was 12. And again, that desire really came from my soul, because I was born and raised in Argentina, Spanish speaking country. I was daughter of two Italian immigrants. So my family was pure Italian. I was being raised in Argentina, and here I was wanting to live in the United States. Like, where is that coming from? That's my point, right? Where is it coming from? From my soul. I co-created that. The US, which is where I am now, is my soul's home. And my little girl knew that already. So here I am. It's 25. I'm seeking, I'm feeling off kilter. I'm by the seaside. It's a stormy sea, a gloomy day. I'm alone. And I get this, you want to go to the US. Like, now is the time. And I'm like, how am I going to go to the US? I don't have the money. I don't have, like, nothing was really conducive for me to go to the US. And my husband at the time didn't speak one word of English. But the desire was so intense. I knew there was no way I could not pursue that. And I knew that in order to pursue that, I had to get a scholarship because there was no way I could do it with my own means and my own money. And so I'm like, okay, step one, apply to all the scholarships I can find in Argentina. And step two, apply for a master in business administration. I was going to come and do a graduate study at university and do my experience in the United States. And so this is what happens. First of all, I apply for the only three scholarships in Argentina were the Fulbright Scholarship from the US government, the Rotarian Scholarship, and then some other scholarship. I can't even remember the name. I didn't get that third one, and I got a 1 year of the Rotarian Scholarship, 2 years of the Fulbright Scholarship, and I later got a scholarship also from the university. So that was like scholarship granted. Now I can move into applying for the university. But here's where the manifestation happens. So everybody was like, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to the US? Very good. The scholarships are going to cover for the first 2 years, but then what are you going to do? And I kept saying, oh, I'm going to stay as long as I can. I'm going to stay as long as I can. And because I got a Fulbright scholarship, which is a very special scholarship from the government of the US gave me a visa called the J visa. That is a visa that allows you to do everything, even work, kind of like a green card. It was a very, very good way. So I knew that I could extend that visa up to 4 years, I think. No, so up to 2 more years, 2 years of study, 2 more years. So here I am. And I'm telling everybody that's listening in Argentina, is like, oh yeah, I got a Fulbright scholarship. I'm going to do my MBA and then I'm going to stay. And because everybody between the first and the second year of the master in business can get a job as an intern, and I know I'm going to get that job, and so many companies then offer you a job, so I'm going to work for that company afterwards. And I was so convinced about this story that I lived it as truth. And what I didn't know at the time was that I was executing the exact steps of pure manifestation because I believed with all of my somatic body that what I was saying was real. This wasn't just my vision, my mind saying, this is what I'm going to do. I was convinced. This is the funniest part, okay? I was convinced based on a complete untruth because it was absolutely not truth that everybody got an internship, and least of all was truth that from the internship you would get a full-time job offer. But get what? We were 222, funny number, students in that Master in Business Administration at the Marshall School of Business at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. And about 35% of us got summer internships. And yep, here I am. I got one. And only one person out of 222 got an offer as a full-time job right out of the internship to start right after I graduate. Guess who that was? Me. I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe what was happening. I couldn't believe that that had happened just to me. It wasn't until years later, then revisiting my life and learning from my experiences, I went like, oh, oh, and it landed in me because it's the feeling that you feel as if that thing has already happened, not as a technique, but as a genuine somatic experience that creates that tangible manifestation. I'm going to say this again. Now, give you the full thing. The vision activates the mind. And you need that vision because the vision I had by the seaside at that moment was, oh, I want to go to the United States. I want to do the master in business. I want to do this. I need a scholarship. I told my husband, he says, yeah, let's try. And ironically, we divorced. He stayed living in the US for the rest of his life. I came back and forth and went to Italy and came back to the US and went again. And here I am again since 2022. Again, that number, 222. And yeah, so the vision activates the mind, but the body is the instrument of creation because it is through the waves that are issued by your heart, both your physical heart and the etheric areas of your auric bodies of the heart, that we inform the conscious and unconscious body of Earth with this reality. And those waves of physical emotion and inner knowing with capital K are the ones that move, matter, and create our reality. And the body knows the difference between real feeling and performed feeling. So you cannot fool it, trust me. And this is what I was telling you at the beginning of today's show when I said, I've learned through life to tune that manifestation emoting, some people call it emoting, that feeling in the body, because since you cannot fool your mind, I assure you that sometimes the desire is so big that it creates expectation. This is a pitfall. So expectation, thank you for playing. Nothing happens. The moment you bring expectation into the field, it cancels everything else you were doing before. You cannot bypass this. So you have to be very observant. When you vision from an embodied state, you are working into this mechanism of manifestation. Now, the good news, let me tell you the good news. The good news is that the universe is quantum. And so you only need very little quantum, full, true moments of embodied visual inner knowing as if the situation has already happened for the universe to begin responding. So that's why so many teachers that teach manifestation tell you every morning, grab your journal and write down what you desire and then close your eyes and emote and feel and seek that feeling. And what I'm telling you is not a feeling of the desire, is a feeling of that that thing that you want has already happened. You're just reaching with your frequency into that timeline where that thing has already happened. And I'm going to bring in one last concept of this that's difficult for our minds to comprehend, but I find that to me, it actually helps me understand better how this works. Time. Time, many people call it the fourth dimension, right? Well, the issue with time is that time is not linear. It's linear only in 3D. It's the complete illusion of linearity. Why? Because in 3D, you have time and space, and in order for us to move from point A to point B, since we're in the third dimension, time needs to go by. You with me? In order to move from step A to point B, if you walk from here to there, time goes by. So time seems linear. But the truth is that time is a wobbly mass where all points in time are happening at the same time. Yes, very messy. One of my teachers, Brian Wise, with whom I studied past life reincarnation, not reincarnation, past life regression, sorry, Brian Wise, with whom I studied past life regression. And if you don't know who he is, the best absolutely book he wrote, I love it, is Many Lives, Many Masters. Brian Wise, Weiss, amazing. I was so lucky to study with him. He taught me this with this visual, which I'm sharing with you because it's the one that gave me the aha of comprehension. Imagine that time is an enormous lake and that all water droplets in that lake, the ones on the surface and the ones deep in it, the ones in the middle, every single drop of water off that lake is a point in time. What? Right? So think about it. So if every drop of water in a big lake is a point in time, that means that a drop of water in the middle of the lake is the lifetime you were in Egypt, and the drop of water at the surface of the lake near that wreath over there is where you are right now. And the other drop of water in the other side of the lake was the lifetime you were in Rome. And suddenly you realize that all of the points in time are happening at the same time because the lake is happening at once. All drops of water in the lake make the lake. Ooh, is that landing with you? Because it's such a powerful understanding, visual metaphor, whatever you want to call it. So now about manifestation. There's a drop of water in that lake that is you already being that manifested version. So for me, there was one drop in that lake that was me living in the US, working for that company that had given me the internship, that had offered me the job right out at the end of the internship while I still had one more year to go at the MBA. That was there. What I did with that unconscious and young, fresh, naive mind of mine at the time was to be able to reach with such inner belief and inner knowing and all of my being, knowing that it was a done deal, that I raised my frequency to access that space that already existed. Ooh, is this landing with you? Isn't this exciting though? Because what I'm telling you is really that there is an infinite field of possibilities and that our task is to become the co-creator, to know that the field is in existence, clearly created by the universe, by creator, not by me, but I'm 100% co-creator, or I should say 50% co-creator, 50% the universe, 50% I am the co-creator. How? With this mechanism. Your task is to envision with clarity and then embody the belief that what you desire is already present. It has already happened, is absolutely possible. It's a possibility that's already happening. This is not something out there in the future. So here's a few caveats. And with this, I'm going to wrap up today's episode. Here are the caveats. Number one caveat is that the universe doesn't understand the word no or not or any negative statement that you put in front of a phrase. Why? Because one of the laws of the universe is where attention goes, energy flows. I know you've heard this, but I'm giving it to you in a new context. Where attention goes, energy flows. So if you say, I don't want to live in the mountain and I don't want to have a dog and I don't want an alcoholic husband. Whew, those are ugly. The universe will hear dog, mountain, alcoholic husband because the attention is going there. You're saying you don't want that, but your attention is going into that. You're putting all your life force into the alcoholic husband. So big, big caveat. A lot of us get screwed by not understanding that. Where attention goes, energy flows. So make sure you state very clearly in the positive, the desire. Put your attention in the desire. I want a husband. I want a soulmate. I want my king. I want him to be XYZ, whatever that works for you. Loving, adoring, supporting my best friend, my accomplice, my teammate, my beloved, great sex, whatever it is that you desire, put it all there in the positive. So that's one of the caveats. The other caveat is that you keep using the term in the future. When I am manifesting, I am working on manifesting. This is typical. Okay. Yep. Oh, I'm doing it. I'm working on manifesting. Oh, really? You're working on manifesting? Well, keep working at it because that's what the universe will do. It will have you keep working at manifesting forever and ever and ever. Right? No, you are not working at manifesting. You have manifested. You are simply reaching out to that frequency so that you can fully embody it. Yoo-hoo! Very different. So be very, very surgical with the words you choose when you state your desires and when you reach for that embodiment, for that emotion, for all of the feels that will allow you to have a felt experience of what your desire as if it has already happened. I can't state enough the importance of this. Whew, that's a lot, huh? Oh, yes, yes, yes. So let me give you another real life example because these things are how it works. When I look at my life, I realize that I have several mind-blowing episodes like the one I shared with you about manifesting the life in the US when I was 27 for the Master in Business. And I had a few years where I manifested several of those things uncannily, not knowing what I was doing. I was just doing it naturally, okay? Just my raw fire energy. I'm a triple fire. I'm an Aries sun, Leo rising, and moon in Sagittarius, plus many other planets in fire signs, just so you know, in case you hadn't guessed. And then somehow stifled. Boo, I started creating so much darkness and so much pain and so much not what I desired. And I was the queen of, I do not want this. I had no ability to connect with my inner truth. It was so painful. It's painful even as I'm sharing it with you. For some reason, I was so disconnected that I wasn't able to understand what I wanted. And all I could do is say, well, but I know what I do not want. That has to help in some way, right? If I don't want this, at least I know that I want that. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, when you know what you don't want and you're focusing in what you don't want, you're creating more of what you don't want. And I learned that in a very harsh, difficult way, many years of pain, many years of struggle, long, long, many iterations of the dark night of the soul. Hey, I had to go through that to become who I am today and to be in this state of awe and wonder about the life we're living. Clearly, I had to go through that so I could be who I am. We're all exactly where we need to be. We're all in our own journeys, and we cannot judge anybody's journeys, not even our own, because we don't know what our soul came here to do. We just know that whatever we've been doing is what we're meant to be doing, and we can give our best. And if we give our best and we know we're doing our best, then we can pat ourselves in the back. What's important is that we don't play small and that we don't hide and that we really have the courage to live all out. So at a certain point, I was manifesting, manifesting, dark nights, dark nights, dark nights. And then I began to learn all of this that I'm sharing with you and learning that, oh, this is what I was doing that wasn't right. And this is what I was doing that was working. And so that's when I understood what I was doing when I was younger. And I had to actually train myself to come back into that state of understanding, feeling, knowing. So, one of the latest experiences of this manifestation that I had was in 2022. As you can see, the number 222 has come a lot of times up today for some reason. So, go play it in the lottery. In 2022, I came to the United States for the third time, and I had been living in Italy for 20 something years. And I really, really, really yearned to come to the United States, not just to any place. I wanted to live in Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta, if you're not aware of it, go search it online. It's a sacred, sacred vortex of the earth. It's the root chakra of the of the earth, and it is a beautiful place. So I wanted to move to Mount Shasta, and I was so in my inner knowing that that was going to happen regardless. I just knew it had already happened. And every morning when I went into meditation, the guide said, it has already happened. And I had no clue in my mind, in the logical aspect of my mind, how to figure that out. But I trusted, I trusted, I trusted, and it happened with a lot of magic. Why? Because I knew and I could see myself living that life, even though that life hadn't manifested yet. I would be in my kitchen cooking, and I would see myself as an overlap in the kitchen in Mount Shasta cooking, yes. And I was like, how is that possible? And I didn't even know what that kitchen looked like. And yet, when I moved to Mount Shasta, that's exactly how the kitchen looked. So here is what we spoke about today. There are both kinds of embodiment, soul embodiment, physical embodiment. When both aspects of embodiment are present, something shifts that effort alone cannot produce. And this is where quantum leaps actually happen when you're not pushing harder, but when you're connecting with your desire, your vision, and your inner knowing that what you desire has already happened. It's not something you have to wait for it to manifest, because manifestation, when we manage to have that super powerful quark of energy, is instant. The universe responds instantly from our wholeness. Woo! So I hope you found today's episode powerful, empowering, and that it is landing in you, because this is how we can all create a new, better world, beginning by our own lives, our own experience, and our own ability to co-create. And as we learn to co-create, we can learn to create the world we all desire. A world where we're not getting engaged in the Maya, in the illusion of what outside sources want us to believe and fall for and pray, that we don't get derailed by all that noise outside. Come back to yourself, like I always say, and then come into that inner awareness that embodiment is much more than you know. And that manifestation is not about just visioning. The body's your instrument. And when embodiment is real, transformation becomes inevitable. And it's not a struggle, it flows, it feels easy. So I hope that you've had a wonderful time today, that you've gained a lot of tools for a better life, a more fulfilled life. Once again, remember to download the Discover the Blueprint of Your Soul handout, where in the description of this episode and in my website. And if you are ready to go deeper, if you are really yearning to unclutter and unclog whatever it is holding you back from that disconnection, like I had, of not being able to be clear about what you desire, send me a note through the contact me form on my website, theawakenpath.com, and we'll go from there. I'd love to support you in wherever you are and however it is for your highest and best. Until next time, with love in service. Bye. Thank you for joining me, Shakti Bottazzi, on the Soul Wisdom Project, remembering the living blueprint of the soul. Tune in every first and third Tuesday each month at 9 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Continue your journey of conscious embodiment, integrating the design, development, and emergence of your divine blueprint. Deepen your exploration through my book, Remembering Her, a Soul Embodiment Journey, and discover mentoring and retreats at theawakenpath.com. Healing is possible. Your journey is sacred design in motion. To put overwhelm in your past, contact me at www.theawakenpath.com. Stay awake, stay aligned, and keep living your soul's wisdom. See you next time.